now I'm going to the verse. My computer sleep, do not sleep. And also it's generate bodhicitta is the most important. And I mean it's like at the moment we are studying quite very much important element, but it is profound, it is vast, it is complicated, difficult to understand. But it's a little bit to learn to this kind of complications. Maybe then if we move to others, it's more easily. But when we are learned to all the time to easy, like a kind of this one is then it's like we never go in the deeply. We say it's like long or the plastic. In these days you can just say long is if you put in the water. This long or the plastics, some balloons you put in the water, it is never go into the deep of the water. And balloon is like a ball of the balloon or ball, I don't know, but you put in the water, it's carry itself is in the water, but it's never go in the deep. Like same as we are also is like to be in the fresh and very much perfect like kind of nita of the water of the Dharma inside the water of the Dharma. But we are all the time is in the like kind of carrying and the surface of the water of the Dharmas. We never go deep. Then is Dharma is not much effective to us in our minds. And therefore, as much as we can to go deeply, say, for example, like my old brothers, I said yesterday we conversated with him and we said this period here that we studied the Abhisamaya Lonkara. He said, how you studied? Really? Can you study? And all the Shedas. I said, my explanation, my understanding is quite horrible. Those students, they perfectly to understand the Abhisamaya Lonkara. I said, wow, that is great. But he said it's like maybe basically very important to give like to information of the 5 paths, 10 bhumis, and then it's like a slow step by step, and then it's called to deeply. Maybe it's the nice, he said. But he's a little bit like kind of how do you say? It's like shock. Because this subject matter is very, very in Tibet, in the universe. For example, in Dzogchen, maybe it's like 4-5 years they studied Abhisamaya Lonkaras. Still there is confusions. Still there are argumentations. And just 2 weeks we studied, then absolutely they don't believe to. It is the truth, but a little bit, we tested a little bit. For example, we went in the seaside, we drank a few mouth of the sea water and come back. Did you drink seas? Yes, I drank seas. Of course, it's like a super, you drank the seas. Yes, I drank it. And then someone think it's like, we completely drink all the seas? Not. But we drink it 1 or 2 times the sea water. You can proudly to say, I tasted the sea, I drank sea water, but of course completely not went into my stomach, but I drink it. Like this is maybe it's like this kind of take logicals, particularly logical. It is like syllogism, and this is of course you are philosophers, and that perspective you know very well. And syllogism is very, very important. Syllogism in logic. And in order to establish all the in the material things, and to establish what is correct, what is incorrect, and also it is like which kind of we need pursue, which kind of we need avoid. in the worldly or transcendent world. Transcendent world means even in the spiritually. And that perspective, it is very important, these logicals. And for example, we study these times, this logical. I mean, it's the logical is also is very, very important, really, to analyze those things. But the simple way, of course, we have there's to enter into the path, to apply the path, maybe to result like the realization of the enlightenment. Very simple way. Maybe it's like kind of grisly way, and like a simple yogi, fully have devotion, fully have faith to the lineage, to the teachers, to the really the three jewels. And this kind of persons, probably we don't need to study this kind of complications. Not necessary, even if you have fully trust, devotion, and like a kind of enthusiastic practice, the compassions. And maybe is enough. That is the signification. I think signification, or the crucial resume of the Buddha's teaching is that is. And of course, if we only to generate bodhicitta, perfectly to generate bodhicitta, also to research the bodhicitta, to learn the bodhicitta, contemplating bodhicitta, and reflect on the bodhicitta, meditate on the bodhicitta, then we came to do the two accumulation. Through that, we came to purify it to obscuration. Through that, we came to realize it to Gaia's through that. Absolutely. But also it is like our mind is like sometimes inconceivable. It is like unbelievable. Of course, difficult to believe each individual persons. Oh, yesterday I was a very good person. I'm smiling. I was compassionate, kindness, bodhicitta is there, and also it's like really practice very well. Oh, today is horrible, aggressive, unkindness, and it's like this kind of. Then it's how can I to rely on myself, and how I can to believe myself. Like this, is mind is like sometimes really unbelievable, very much changeable, very much. And that perspective is difficult to have faith, devotions, trust, and into the bodhicitta. And it's like someone is like, in the Shantideva said, it's like, and all the Buddha and Bodhisattvas researched which is the best cause of the happiness, best of the antidote for the two obscurations, and best eradicator of all the negative and the sufferings. They found the bodhicitta, only the compassion, nothing else. And therefore, someone to meditate and in the bodhicitta through the devotion, through the trust, through the like kind of faith or trust and enthusiastically. That is enough. Maybe it's not necessary. But we have doubt, very much doubt. Really, bodhicitta is works, and bodhicitta is necessary for us? What do you mean, bodhicitta? If someone says, it's like no Buddhist people said, first time is you sadly you enter into the Buddhist path, and then you learn and compassion, Buddhist path, you become more sad. Then finally you become the sad person. You have never ever have the joy. What happened? And it's some in the case, yes, that is the truth, but it's a reality, it is not like this. Beginning, yes, Buddhist people a little bit sad because of the suffering of the samsaras, and not kind of concerning yourself, or I have sick, I have like problems, according that I'm sad, then maybe it is the not. For example, Buddha himself, he's perceived these four sufferings to the others, then his sadness. What is the going on? How I can to help? All of them is like same as myself. Am I single persons is just suffering, just something problems? It's nothing. But there's millions, countless sentient beings. Those are something. Maybe it's to think of those, the quantity of the sentient beings. Then sad, how I can to eliminate those sufferings. May they quickly to be liberated. And then this is the hesitation, sadness for the suffering of the sentient beings. Then we enter into the kind of the path of the Buddhas. Of course, we immediately apply the compassion. Compassion is not a normal sad, not emotional sad. It is like a kind of, oh, today I'm not happy. Oh, today I not receive kiss my husband or my wives. I'm sad. Not like this, It is this sadness is the compassion of concerning what can I do? Nervous. What can I do to benefit for the sentient beings? Almost there's no kind of concerning of yourself. And like a kind of sadness is for you, for other sentient beings. It is the truth. Quoting that they are doing something is inconceivable things. We call that this person is the heroic, heroic, adjective, heroic. Oh, that is very good. Okay, and like this, and then it's doing, it's the thinking of the limitless sentient beings, and the thinking of the inconceivable hardship of the doing things, and also it's like whatever they need to benefit for other sentient beings, even they need to spend their arms, their limbs, their lives, their positions, and they do. And that is like this sadness, is a compassion sadness is not for themselves. The sadness is for other sentient beings. They finally, and of course, they are like kind of a little bit sad kind of things. Because through that, what they can do, they are automatically be enlightenment. And yes, but it's for themselves, whenever they be in the samsara, wherever they be in the nirvanas, is completely, it's like kind of equanimities. And everything is perfect for themselves, but they have such compassions. It's what can I do? I'm telling to this and sentient beings. For example, if you have child, maybe this child is 1 or 2 months. This child is like, how do you call walking of the child like this? Oh, crawling. Taller, not taller. Like using this, Okay, and do like going to in the house, whatever to pick up, found something eating. Even sometimes make shit itself and eat back. And that moment is like if you say, do not eat, what are you doing? Just a little bit kind of showing the smile, eating. And that moment is like, whatever I tell, this cannot listen to me. This is childish. And also you do good things, do not understand. Repayment is bad, angry. And if you do a little bit or something, this do not understand, and maybe smiling. It's like whatever this is childish. And those realizations is like to see the other sentient beings. What can they do? Sometimes the most like hell beings are the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. We say like this. And why? Because of the concern the childish sentient beings. And for themselves, wherever they are completely free from the sufferings. And finally concerning to like this kind of course you can to say, but this is like misunderstandings. And then there's, don't enter into the Buddha's path or Buddhist, because beginning you are sad, in the middle also sad, the end the sad. But this sad is not contaminated sad. This sadness is incontaminated sad. It is like a kind of valuable and beneficial. like this. And in that perspective, we can to say that compassion is only enough. It is like to research compassion, to practice compassion, to have devotion, faith into the compassion. And then sometimes a doubt is coming. And then we need to study more deeply and to defend, like the denial our doubt, denial our like kind of misunderstanding, denial of our kind of the inner like wrong ideas, wrong like kind of misinterpretations and our own self. Therefore we are now studying. And when we want to study, when we analyze, there is the true truth. On the true truth, all the phenomena are the included. And then it's like, today is verse 29, it is saying like this: the non-conceptual mind is that which can. Huh? The conceptual mind is that which can. What is this? Conceive, yes? Okay, mine is big or wrong. There's something gone. Okay, conceive. Ah, yes. Sieve is gone. Why? Okay, conceive of the object by way of. I'm sorry. There is the. Okay. Haha. Now it's conceive. Okay. The conceptual mind is that which conceives of object by way of general image. I said it's generic image or the general image. And this is both, I think there's no problem. It's like different synonyms. Generic image, general image. It is very nice. This one is a word we should to memorize. General image. General image. Here is the conceptual mind. Conceptual mind, what is the conceived object? The general image. General image of the human, vase, microphone. And we can to say it's like a table, but it's not specifically to say this and that. General image. Associating them with name for the true form, concept. Then it's like first times we have image, the general image. It's coming into the conceptual mind. Conceptual mind, first time perceived, direct the object of the general image. For example, the computers. And then it's like the associating them with name to form concept. And it is like yesterday we say it's like the mixture of the name and the meaning. You can to say the mixture, the sound and the meaning. Maybe this is da dun ding, da and dun, sound and the meaning mixed. For example, conceptual mind received the sound of the computers. The conceptual mind to hear that this sound, immediately conceptuals mixed the meaning. Computers is like kind of calculation table or the calculate machines, and it can tape, it can have like this, how to say, the feature or this property characteristics of the computers automatically are coming into our minds, the conceptual mind. And then it's like a kind of to analyze. And then it's like, oh yeah, yeah, and oh yeah, yes, oh yeah, yes, oh yeah, yes. Now I understand like this. And if someone is to say it's like human and animals, house, and we listened to the general image. general image of the names, the noun of the general image, and then it's like that is the captured by the conceptual minds, and then these images, and then it's like the mixed the meaning of this name, of the sound of the names, and then we are enter into, and this how we can to pursue, how we can to avoid like this. And also there are kind of the clarifying, and to say it's like someone cannot mix it sound and the meanings, but also it's like a kind of they can do something is captured by the conceptual mind. For example, animals. Maybe if the front of the animals, if you say it's like the water, it's never they cannot. As much as you give the name of the water, you call to them, they don't recognize. They cannot. They can hear the sound, but they cannot to capture the meaning. But when the thirsty times, or maybe it's like kind of the sound of this element, waters, probably they can kind of recognize. Maybe, but when you the general the image name of the like, sometimes we can to say the provisional terms. Do you know the provisional terms? Provisional terms. The term of all these terminologies, like computers, house, cars. This is provisional terms. Would you like to start? Tanyi. Provisional terms. Can you say provisional terms? My English is I'm proud. Provisional tanyi ripa. Tanyi. Ripa, how do you say? No. Conventional term. Term is the terminology, term. And then the conventional is tiny, it's like in the relatively, it is the terminologies. Yes, conventional term. Conventional terms. This is like, the dynamically, this word is academic words. Okay, conventional term means like conventional term is like related to the humans, and like a kind of the master of the conventional terms. I would say master of the conventional terms. Something is new arrive. Like a kind of once you have new babies born, what you are going to like a kind of give terms. Buddha or Bodhisattva, or it's like in the European we say, you can call the Mark or Matthew, is something is like. That is the like a beginning, this is the parents are the master for the conventional term giving to the child. But it's like a special masters, we can to say experiments and new some materials arise. Of course, they haven't got terms beginning, and then they think how we can to call it is, and then they give it the name, and afterward, and then it's like they have these conventional terms. Okay, conventional terms. Also, conventional term is. Conventional is terms you can to analyze. I don't know in translate. Conventional term, it has a true aspect, ndojja and jitup. Can you say it, ndojja and jitup? Lots of us, help me. Da het yola njukt mepa, njukt yola het mepa, hien ju nika yopa, hien ju nika mepas. For example, the conventional terms, if I call this one, okay? If I call the diamond, why you call the diamond? Why not? I'm calling it the diamond. Okay, you call this name is diamond. Everybody called the diamond, but this name is you cannot to explain. Like same as the Coca-Cola, okay? And this is the conventional, the master, conventional terms, masters, they give, okay, let's pick up one name. Okay, just like kind of, in Europe, it's very much this learned, wise. When you look at your names, even the internet, you pick up your internet address or your something. And if you put like kind of the knowledge things, to study things, they said you cannot preserve it. And like kind of like cannot to study things like Coca-Colas. What are you going to study? How you can to explanation Coca-Cola and this? Then you can to preserve it. That is, it is not a kind of common. For example, a few years ago, I'm researching. For example, you can see that my email, the internet, how this web address is Dzogchen dot blah blah. They say it is difficult to preserve that. Or you can to say is the awareness or wisdom dot blah blah. Wisdom is like to study things like general. You cannot to preserve it. Because it's like wisdom, you can to explanations. It's like subject, like to learn things. That I got from the Europeans. They are look their terminology. They are searching about the terminology, conventional terms. But you should to become like this, more intelligent, and therefore okay. Then I don't want to continue the campus. They are teasing me. I'm going home.